Why would an artist need a coach?
I think every person, but especially in artistry, where you're trying to express something, to connect with an audience, it comes from a deep knowing and understanding of yourself and your voice. And it comes from a foundation of what you value, what you love, and what you trust. I think that when we connect to art, whatever form that is in, we're connecting to the expression of that. Whether it's in a painting or we're at a rock show or even in a movie. And when you partner with a coach, a really excellent coach, someone who is really guiding you towards your answers, not someone who's giving you the answers or telling you what path to walk. Someone who's bringing you within and helping you build that strong internal foundation, you take that everywhere you go. And especially on the creative path, there is no one path. The creative path is the process of us consistently and continually finding ourselves and integrating that into who we are and how we want to express that. I think artists I don't think they just have the option to. I believe that every artist needs to, at some point, find the kind of partnership, whether it's through coaching or otherwise, that brings them back into themselves, back grounding to their purpose of what am I here to do? Because they're gifted. We're gifted with the ability to create, or the vision that we have for a creation or a piece of art, a piece of work. And to almost have the skill to clear that channel and move almost your humanness out of the way to let that message come through you is essential. And I think in a really healthy coaching partnership, we can create that space. And that's really what I mean when I say coming home to yourself, is creating that space and having that clearing to be able to access what that message is, what that gift is, to express it.
What if someone has too much pride to seek out a coach?
That's real. That's just the path they're on. I've, in the beginning of my coaching career, have tried to work with people or tried to meet with people who kind of, you might describe them as having, being prideful and not thinking they need the help, or even categorizing or thinking of coaching as kind of something where, in a more negative light, like, oh, people who are really struggling or really need help, like maybe it's a weakness that you need to partner with a coach. That's actually quite a common thought. I think still coaching has been around for a long time, but I think it still has a confusing reputation to many people in the mainstream. But if people have too much pride to partner with a coach, this is not their journey right now. And that's okay too. In fact, before coaching, I came from working with some A-level celebrities, and I worked in the industry for years. And I faced a lot of that when I started to talk about the training I was doing and the career path I was starting to step on. And it took me a while to get out of my own way and my own pride and integrate the fact that I am a trained coach, just for those same reasons of like, what are people going to think and what do I think of this? But in reality, I so believe in the work I do and in the result that I see my clients move through and how I myself have moved through my art and my creative process, that has just become so much more important than any type of sense of ego pride that I need to hold on to. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with ego. We need it to survive. Like, we need it to navigate as social beings. So I'm not like bashing ego, but at the end of the day, we can't live in our ego. It's a tool more than it is an identity.
What if someone has too much shame to seek out a coach? Maybe there's things in their past they're embarrassed about, or family conditioning. You don't need to go to someone. You don't need to talk about things.
Oftentimes, our shame eats us alive. And our shame we all live in it. It lives in thoughts or sentences like, oh, I should do that, or I should, the shoulds, when we should on each other. And in my experience with people who hold a lot of that, who are holding on to a lot of those stories and a lot of that shame, sometimes it's a different healing modality that they need to step into before they're ready to work with a coach. Because coaching is really different from other types of healing. For example, therapy. This is a question I get a lot. How is coaching different from therapy? Well, the result of therapy is insight, whereas the result of coaching is always action. And we're not asking the question why in coaching. Why is irrelevant in this space. And it happened because it happened. And I'm sure there's a story attached to it, and I'm sure it's true. It probably happened to you. Yet, what's more important in this space of coaching is, what is it that I'm doing or seeing, or what are my patterns, and what do I want to do about it? Specifically in conjunction to, where do I want to be? And when we ask what, it becomes a much more interesting question. And I'm not to say why is not good, worth you to explore. Back to your question, when we are carrying a lot of shame, the why is the important question. We have to develop a sense of awareness around ourselves and an internal processing system. And that's better done through therapy or other healing modalities, whether it's breath work or yoga or, choose your adventure. And I've dabbled in a lot. But coaching is really for people who are at a developed level of awareness where they're aware enough that whatever story it is they're carrying or holding on to is less relevant and important than the vision that they have and they want to move toward. That's the point where you meet a coach.
What is it about you that makes you want to be a coach?
What is it about me that makes me want to be a coach? There's an art to connecting with people. There's an art to this process, to finding and establishing your creative process. There's an art to the intention that comes with it, and I'm addicted to that art, simply put. When I worked for high-level composers, who I mentioned earlier, I saw how I served a specific A-list composer, and I was his personal assistant and by his side, and got to observe how he was with music, and at times he was music. When I talk about artists are a channel for their work, he was like a human sacrifice for his music at times, for it to flow through him. And he is exquisite at what he does, and it was incredibly inspiring. And I think I saw that, and I was able to connect to him in that way, not because I'm a musician in the same way, but because I feel like I am gifted in a way to connect with people. And to find a channel for that and a way to express that and to make a contribution with that is the job, is my work, is what I need to do to connect. And so, just seeing that person be it so excellently and so high level, and I just mean he's been doing it his whole life, I realize I've been doing this my whole life. I have always been this way. I've always been ready to connect. I have always been the person my friends will come to, my family will come to, not so much for advice, that too, but also just a safe place to be, and to be authentic in who they are with me. And that is something I value so highly. So to channel that and hone it into a craft, into a skill set, is the gift of finding coaching and finding this type of format. And it may evolve. It's already been evolving as I've been walking this path. It might be a different job title. It might be applied a different way. But to be on the path of honing that gift and craft is essential to take those first few steps.
Why do you specifically coach artists and other creatives?
Because I am obsessed with them. Because I am one, and my mom was an artist, and my dad is a high-level creative. He's a financial strategist, and I've never seen anyone more creative. It really has nothing to do with the job, if you know what I'm saying. It's a type of person that I'm drawn to, and that I am, and that I think we all are intrinsically creative. This is the human condition. Some of us are more called to express that on a professional level or as a lifestyle. And I'm really drawn to it, and I'm drawn to working with artists and creatives because I'm drawn to the unknown, the mystery of life, changing things up. We never know. There's no such thing. Life is not linear. Our brain wants to think in a linear way. It's so comforting to be linear. It's how we're wired, and it's so not what's real. Life is more, if we're to use a shape, cyclical. Everything circles back. Everything comes back at a deeper level in a different way with different meaning. And so to follow along that story with the artists that I get to meet and to be kind of part of their journey and for a part of their path, you know what I'm saying? To be on their team for a part of that process for them. It's like an addiction. It's an addiction to the process. I've learned so much about myself and my own creative application through the conversations I've had with my clients.
Yeah, I've heard even, because you can apply really creativity to so many jobs that you wouldn't think are, quote, creative. And when you talked about money and finance, I've heard people saying about, certain patterns of a stock, the way they rise and fall.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know if it's called like the Fibonacci sequence or something.
Yeah.
And that there's like a pattern and a rhythm and a beauty to it.
Yeah.
That you would never, to me, I would be like, okay, I don't really understand it, but.
Yeah, maybe you don't understand the stock rhythm, but you understand the rhythm in the way that you see it. It's like that scene from American Beauty where the plastic bag is flying in the wind, and it's like, have you ever seen anything more beautiful? And to some people that's hilarious, and they're like, what a dumb movie. And to some people they're crying, and they're like, I see the beauty. It's like, isn't that so cool? But that plastic bag is the same as the stock market for someone, and it's the same as a well-written song for someone. That's just what it is. And to see that through other people's perspectives, that's what I say I'm addicted to. To see it that's one of my coaching questions is, people bring in metaphors. We all speak in metaphors all the time. And part of what I do with my clients and behind the scenes info here is to dismantle these metaphors. What are you actually talking about? What are you seeing? Or what are we not seeing? And so when we get to strip away the metaphor and really hear what their voice of wisdom is saying, I mean, that's like some pure energy right there. That's something very pure and very special. And that's what makes them the artists that they are. A lot of people come to me and are like, well, yeah, but rationalizing. There's a billion singers in the world. What makes me any different? Why should I pursue this art? It's like, there are not a billion yous. Let's get you to that core.
What are some of the metaphors? Like, do you hear certain ones that you can tell are blocks and others that are freeing?
Yeah, some of the metaphors, and this will probably be familiar to you as well, and I say this all the time, we'll just be like, part of me didn't want to call her back, but the other part of me thought, we are not parts of self. We are one whole being. We are one whole unit. And that's such an interesting metaphor that I'm really deepening right now in my practice, because when we speak about parts of ourself, that's a lot of information. There's a lot of information that we do, and that's kind of the first step of my process with people, is to bring all our parts together, because we need to have the whole team on deck. The whole team meaning all parts of ourselves. And when I say that's a lot of information, it's like so often we want to block parts that are speaking to us, or we want to not hear those things, and it may be too painful to hear what they're serving up. But the more we are able to assert our focus and attention to what it is coming up for us and actually integrate that, there's a process to that, the more whole we will start to feel and move forward in our life or our craft or whatever it is with a sense of wholeness and belonging. It's an internal job, but it really helps to have someone hear that and go, wait a minute, well, what do you mean by part of you? And let's dismantle that. What is it saying? Without shame or judgment. Let's observe what's coming up for you. Observation means without judgment. To look at it. And that's when it starts to become interesting. Because we're no longer interested in like, this is a bad part of me, this is good, whatever. What does that even mean? We're more interested in what is coming up that I need to focus on and potentially integrate into my practice.